Here I am, in the place to be. Mr. K and B, you can't fuck with me. Extra sexy, extraordinary. Palms are hairy, your mama pop. What up, y'all? It's KMB, the sexy ninja, in the place to be for a paper Saber universe. And this is the Sexy Ninjacast, a podcast all about me and all my loves, all my interests and everything like that, or sometimes just a space for me to just talk. It's been a minute since I've been on camera, so forgive me if I'm not over handsome for your eyeballs or your ear holes, however you're listening to this podcast, because you can find it anywhere and everywhere under the banner of a Paper Saber universe, on all the Spotify's and Apple Music and all that good stuff. Or if you're just rocking it here on the YouTube channel, I appreciate it. Or if you're on Twitch, you know, where I keep saying we, I'm everywhere and anywhere. You can mess with me on all the social medias. The link is in the description below. You can hit my link tree. God, hit the link tree and you can find everything. And if you want to show some support, you can go to our my pro wrestling tees store. The New World podcast shirts up there, along with the KMB logo. If you want to check that out, more designs are coming. I've been slacking on that end, but more stuff's coming to that pro wrestling tees store. So, and it's prowrestlingtees.com/New World podcast. If you are here and you just listen to the New World podcast, thank you. You know, but pro wrestling podcast is a lot. You know, all the way down to like WWE releases and this and that and everything going on. So that's why I try to keep that so separate. And if you're new here, the Sexy Ninja Cast is a podcast I started after, me and Big Daddy. You can check out his work on the YouTube channel. It's all in the archives. It's all over the place. Big Daddy Forever podcast. It's a great podcast. He even has his own channel now, Big Daddy Forever. He's on all the streams as well. So you should go show him some love and respect because he's Big Daddy, and it's nothing but love. He's been really helpful and supportive. Recently, I just lost my grandfather. I'm going to the funeral tomorrow. And, it's just, I don't know, this whole week has been rough, and I got asked a question about the podcast. They're like, hey man, like, how come you're never on camera anymore? And I'm like, or on the TikToks, because I used to do silly TikToks and stuff like that. And now I just post clips of the show or post, something of that nature. And I just like, I've been so in my own head and down on myself, like appearance wise, I feel ugly. Even though I live that scrub life and I shouldn't give a fuck, but I just not happy with the way I look. I'm heavy, feel it in my bones. And I know people out there be like, go fucking work out. Go. I was like, I fucking hear you. Calm down. God, and I get in my own head. I live up there and I start thinking of things and, with the passing of my grandfather and stuff like that. And all this stuff going on. And then like I got news of other things and I'm just like, what is going on? Some bad juju's going around, man. Just shout out to everybody out there. I hope you're okay. I hope everything's all right. But I've been distracting myself. And right here, real quick, I got to shout out Rebel Force Radio. It's a great podcast, great show. Jimmy Mack and Swank, they've been keeping me above water, keeping me entertained, keeping me in my headspace of Star Wars, because that's what I love more than anything. Well, besides my family, of course, but the Star Wars is where it's at. It's 24/7 in this house, along with the wrestling. But that I need to go into a galaxy far, far away, and I just want to shout out the Rebel Force podcast. If you want to check out a really great Star Wars podcast, that's the podcast you listen to, because they've gotten me through this whole week and they've gotten me through a lot of things. I binge their shows. I'm also a Patreon member. So go just show some love to Rebel Force Radio if you're into Star Wars. It's a great podcast. They even have a James Bond podcast that I really like. So so that I've been keeping distractions. I've been watching Ahsoka. So good. So good. I was just like, I look forward to Fridays because I got a promotion recently, and it's been eating up a lot of my time. So I moved up to a salary manager position, and I've been there. It was a rough start because we're just trying to get all the pieces back where they should be. So I've been coming in at 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. and like it was rough trying to figure out how to do the podcast, especially the New World podcast. Like I would get up 6 o'clock, watch a show, record this and that, go, and I decided, I was like, yo, I need to make sure that I have some time for myself, like self, not podcast self. Like, I need time to, do other things. So I've been like reading, I've been trying to catch up on my comic books. I've been trying to, just watch Ahsoka and rewatch. I've been rewatching Star Wars Rebels, just anticipation of Ahsoka, and just to get my everything back in order. Of like, oh yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. And I haven't seen the latest episode. I'm about to. I was putting it off because I've heard nothing but great things. But that last episode filled me up with so much joy. Clone Wars, live action. I was like, oh my god, I Dave Filoni, you are the king, man, and everything about that episode just tick like Anakin and Ahsoka, young Ahsoka, Rex, and it was just like, damn, like I was sitting here with my wife, and it was funny too. Is I asked her, I got home and I knew the episode dropped, and I was like, babe, can I watch Ahsoka, please? And you can have whatever you want. And she's like, fine, nerd. And I was like, thank you. And I put it on, and it filled me with such joy. Seeing the Clone Wars in live action, something I've always wanted to see. I know we got the animation series, I can always relive that, but seeing it in live action, Hayden Christensen came back as Darth, as Anakin, and everything about that was just and it's funny too. As I was talking to somebody about that, talking about like Ahsoka, I was like, man, I fucking love this show so goddamn much. They're like, what about Obi-Wan? I was like, it was okay. Like it was cool seeing Hayden as Darth Vader, and there's some really great moments in that show, but overall, it didn't really like, it was a good show. There was great moments, but I would say overall, I like Andor more than the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. I don't know. I thought the whole young Princess Leia storyline was just a little too much. Even though she was great, she embodied Princess Leia. Carrie Fisher, the sassiness, all this and that. She carried herself really well. That actress is fantastic. I just didn't care for that part of the story. I was just like, I wanted to see Obi-Wan go on an adventure, because we all like the moments of like, oh, she's in danger, but it's just like, I know nothing's going to happen. There's no consequences of anything, because we all know, like, even though she got caught and this and that, and she was kidnapped, and we had Flea in there and everything like that, it was just like there was no real consequences to the show. And I would say that the best moment for me was when Obi-Wan had to say, like he told Vader, I failed you, and basically saying goodbye to his friend. And I'm getting choked up just thinking about it, because it's such a great moment, and a moment that just sticks out of my head, and that was like the end of Mandalorian season 2, when Luke showed up, and you're like, oh shit, what's going on? Even Mandalorian season 3, like it was good, but it definitely had its bangers, and it's had its not bangers, not like season 1 and 2. Season 1 and 2 were so solid. So in season 3, like it was kind of like, okay. Then I got Obi-Wan, then Andor. Oh, Andor's a slow burn, but it's a good slow burn. Like, if I can recommend anything, go watch Andor. I know a lot of people out there like, oh, you're a high class snobby Star Wars fan because you watch Andor. You think you're better than everybody. Maybe I am. I want to rewatch it too before season 2 drops. We still got Skeleton Crew. That's on the way. Tales of the Jedi. I want another season of that. They had some really great episodes in that I rewatched. The ones with Count Dooku, especially Count Dooku. Oh, yeah. So that's what I've been up to. Pro Wrestling Podcast. I bet you $1. Shout out to Colin. I bet you $1. He's like, God damn, finally something different, you know, because he's not a pro wrestling fan. And he listens to the podcast, mainly the Sexy Ninjacast or the Social Event podcast that I did with Big Daddy. And you can check those out. Those are in the archives as well. There's some really great podcasts there, really funny shit that we discuss. I got some great interviews with the Sexy Ninjacast, great interviews with the Social Event podcast. You know, met Shaggy 2 Dope and stuff. So you can go check that out. That's all in the archives, you know. And I also do music too. So if you want to check that out, I'm actually working on a new song and it's taking forever. I got this beat. It's by Stir Crazy. I bought it a while ago. I've only used it once. I used it for my Snowmageddon video on here on the channel for YouTube. And I've been trying to write. Like the first interpretation of the song was "The fire rises, dun 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 dun, dun. The fire rises," and then I recorded because the way I like to do songs is I like to record the hook first. So I recorded the hook, and I started writing, and then like nothing was like going to it. Then one day, out of nowhere, I had the beat came on in my head while I was at work. And I was like, dun, 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 the dead will rise. Dun, dun. You know, I just started and I started writing mad lyrics. I was it just came out of nowhere because I've been on a writer's block for a minute, and it just hit me, and I started writing and writing, and I wrote a song called "The Dead." The dead will rise, you know. And it was a song about this character, Mr. Happy. That I wrote. I have a punk track song that I made to it. It's called Mr. Happy. It's on the playlist if you want to go check it out. But it's also a song. You know, I'll play that song at the end of this thing. Yeah, I'll do that. You'll hear it here on the podcast itself. Mr. Happy. You know, and it was inspired by a song by Insane Clown Posse. So it's nothing original. Well, it's original because the character itself is a deranged clown. Oh, wait. The character is a deranged clown from hell. And, you know, in the song The Dead, he rises with the devil and they take over the world and the dead is taking over. That was the concept of the song. And I came back, I laid the hook, The Dead, and it was like, I was like, oh my God. I was like, man, if I could make a concept album out of Mr. Happy, like that would be fantastic. Like, you know, and I you know what's funny is like my first interpretation of this beat, because it's a dope beat. I was like, you know, I'm gonna record a hip hop banger. I'm gonna drop them bars. I'm gonna make them bars. You know, I'm gonna be like, but I realized that's not my type of style of music for KMB the Sexy Ninja. KMB the Sexy Ninja likes the wicked shit, and KMB the Sexy Ninja likes to tell stories. So I tried. I tried to write some bars. You know, I was just like, okay. I was like, bum, 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 bum. I was like, no, that's not gonna work. That sucks. You know. So I was like, then the concept of The Dead came about, and I started writing. And then when I finally got the hook, what I wanted for the hook to be, I was like, okay, cool. The bad part was I was sitting here, you know, I think I sat here for 3 fucking hours, and I had everything written. I feel like I forgot how to rap. I forgot how to hit that snare. I forgot how to hit that bar. I was just like, I was like, yeah, blah 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. No, you're off. I was like, blah, 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 blah. I was like, God damn it. I was trying and trying. I texted the wife. I was like, I fucking forgot how to rap. I forgot how to lay a verse down. I don't know why. I don't know why this song itself is driving me batshit fucking crazy, because I'm trying to write this song and I'm trying to rap it out. And then all of a sudden the hook was laid. The hook is done. The hook is what I want it to be, but it's just the verses. And so I spent hours and I'm just sitting there, and at the end I felt so defeated. You know, when you hit that moment when you're just trying something, or if you're building something, fuck a Lego set, you're trying and trying and trying, and you just can't get it. And at the end, you're just like, fuck it. He sat back. And then I got all depressed. I was like, oh man, you know. And I think it's just the style of the beat that I need to match, because it has this like kind of West Coast flavor to it. You know, I like to rap fast, but also too, this beat is telling me to slow it down. So I have to be like, do, 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 you know, so I gotta be like, or maybe a little bit slower. Like it was just trying to find that cadence. And then I started rewriting the verse. Then it became like bars. And then when I was like, oh, I like this. I was like, okay, fine. I'm getting my groove. And this was the next day. After that 3 hours that day, I said, fuck it. But the next day I started writing like to the beat. I was like, da, 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 da. Okay. I was like, okay. I was like, ooh, I like this. Then I wrote a verse. I rapped the verse. And I was like, all right, yo, this is tight. It had nothing to do with what the hook is. Nothing. Like this was straight up like I started like dissing certain individuals on this track and like doing some like hip hop swagger to it. Then I played it back. I was like, I was so proud. I recorded the verse and I laid it and I was like, oh my God, yeah. K&B just needed a little bit to record, just a little bit to get that mojo back in my step, baby. Then I played the song with the hook and I was like, the verse has nothing to do with the hook. Nothing at all. And I wasn't about to go rewrite the hook. I unless I have to. I listened to it like, you know, because the dead will rise. You know, like talking about the dead coming up from the bounds of hell. And then I get to the hook and I'm like, man, they are so off. Like, you know, and then I was like, well, maybe I can get away with it. Then I was like, then I started imagining getting interviewed by the like the song "The Dead." What is it about? I'm like, it's about the underground rising up and blah blah. I started making excuses. I was like, no, the song's about the dead rising up with Mr. Happy. So eventually, that track will see the light of day. I'm still working with it, so I'm gonna go back to the original concept of the song, of it being a story. So you know, just because the story's dope, you know. And I like telling stories and songs. And that's just from the love of the wicked shit, plus my love for the Insane Clown Posse. And if you know, many people, it's funny when people ask, like, you're a juggalo? I'm like, man, I got it tatted like right on my arm, my dude. And I even got a Hatchet Man on my thing. Got that chapter 17. I know I'm a big nerd and I dress like a nerd, but I'm still a juggalo at heart, man. You know, I still beg. Colin sends me shit all the time. There's been some really good stuff that's been coming out, man. That Three-Headed Monsters, oh my gosh. I think the first album's called Obliteration, right? And the next one's called Rampage, with Violent J, Ouija Mac, and Esham. They're going to be down in Phoenix, and I believe in a few weeks. And I really want to go to the show because the show's on a Sunday. It's on a Sunday, and my work schedule goes from Tuesday to Saturday. Then I'm off Sundays and Mondays, and usually every fucking time. So like ABK and Blaze were here in Flagstaff and they were on a day I worked, you know, and I was just like, damn it, man. And then, but when I looked at the tour, their second leg tour, I was like, oh my gosh, they're on a Sunday. How dope would that be? I told Collins like, yo, then I told my brothers like, yo, we got to go to this thing, man. We got to, you know, I was like, I really want to see, this Three-Headed Monster tour. Then they announced that R.A. the Rugged Man's the opener. And I was like, oh my God, his last album was a banger. Man. And then like there's so many things going on about. We missed Scorefest this year. I felt bad about that because Scum dropped a new album. Like, you know, there's so much good stuff coming out. So much good stuff like Alazuilu and Super Famous Funtime Guys and Sun, you know, and then I've been really listening to a lot of Clockwork E. Shout out Clockwork E. Like their music has been a soundtrack. Of course, my boy Dubs. That album is my therapy album. You know, I mean, if I text Colin, I'm like, I'm sad. He's like, put on some Dubs. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna put on some Dubs. You know, I haven't been myself lately. I've been a shell of a man. You know, damn it, just get. You know, that album from top to bottom is the most therapeutic thing on my list. You know, it's one of those albums that ever since it came out, you got to go check it out right now. I just shout out to Dubs, man. And I've been really digging this three-headed monster stuff, really digging the new Scum. Triple MFD dropped Red and Blue. Like, oh, there's so much good stuff coming out. And that was another thing I got asked, like, what happened to the music reviews? I'm like, one is trying to figure out a schedule, and the wrestling has taken over. Like, and I kind of just accepted it at this point because my weeks go, I watch Monday Night Raw, record, nothing Tuesday. Then the Wednesday record the NXT after watching that. Then Thursday record Dynamite. Then have nothing for Friday because I took Ring of Honor out of that just because I was just like, oh my gosh, it's just becoming so much. I wanted a day just to veg and watch some Star Wars and just get my brain going and stuff like that. And then Friday night, and then Saturdays I record the SmackDown and I record Rampage. Then now with Collision, I record Sundays, and then when it comes to pay-per-view weekends, oh my, the last one we had I think the Great American Bash, All In. Then like the next week was All Out. Then this weekend, not this weekend, next weekend is 2 more pay-per-views on top of that. So it kind of like affected the home life, with the wife, because she wants my time, and I want to give her my time too, and my kid too. She's always like, oh, you're always recording, you're always watching wrestling, and and it's just like, yeah, I need to take a step back. That's why I think what's inspired to do the Sexy Ninja Cast, their wife's at work, kid is at a school, and I was just like, I just need to vent. I just need to talk, just get out there and talk about things that are other besides wrestling. So, and I've been reading this new Avengers Assemble book that I missed. By Jason Aaron, and it's about the multiverses with all the Avengers and stuff like that. Avengers Tower and the like the main tower and Captain Carter and all these Captain America. Like, it's just a dope story. Mephisto's like wreaking havoc, and then we got all these cool, King Killmonger and shit like that. Like, I started reading that. I already have the issues, but the problem is they're buried away somewhere because I keep buying comic books and I keep burying them away. And so, like, I have this really bad habit. Like, if that happens to me, I just go buy the graphic novel because I'm like, I don't want to pull them out. I don't want to. I'm that fucking lazy. Like, that's how I read City of Bane, Batman. Tom King. Yeah, I was so behind. I was like, oh my god, because like there's so many events, so many Batman books, and it was just hard to try to keep up with myself and keep up with that too. It was just like I bought that. I bought Fear State. I bought some X-Men books, even though I already have them. I bought some Star Wars graphic novels, and that, it's funny. It's like when I go to the comic book shop at Cab Comics, he's always like, you already have that. I was like, I know, it's buried somewhere, and I don't feel like digging it out. You still want the issues, right? Of course, I still want the issues. That's not I have issues. And and plus too, I like having the graphic novel because I tell people about these stories, and I'm like, yo, I just read this great thing. Like, one of my coworkers, I told her about this awesome story, Dead Earth with Wonder Woman. Oh, it's so good. It's on their Black label, and it's a little mini series and stuff like that. It deals with Wonder Woman and her in like this post-apocalyptic future that she caused, and she killed Superman, and like, it's such a damn good story. And she was like, oh, can I read it? I was like, hold on. And I ordered it off. I ordered it off of Amazon. I was like, here you go. And she was like, okay. And I've done the same thing. I've done this all my life, folks. I've done it all my life. I don't know if there's anybody out there that's a comic book collector that once they go in bag and board, or once you read them, it's one and done. They're in the bag. They're in the board. You ain't going to take them out again. That's where they at. And that's the part of the collection. So I've been collecting comic books for so long. I got so many comic books. I got so many boxes, but it's just one of those things that I don't know. Hardcore collectors out there, once it's one and done and it goes into, do you have a spare anything? CD? If you buy CDs or albums still, if you buy movies, you always have the backup copy. Shit, I got like 20 copies of Star Wars, all across the board, from sequel, prequel to original. I have the unaltered cuts and everything like that. I got backups, and with all I'm looking at my comic books right now and all these things. I already have all the issues, but Oh, what was I saying? Oh, I was talking about my wife. She like this is when we first like started getting together, and she was like, um, she's like, this is when Avengers is rolling out and stuff like that, and we're building up the Thanos. Thanos is the big baddie in this, in the coming up that the Avengers are gonna face and everything like that. And she's like, hey, can I read Infinity Gauntlet? You got that, right? I was like, yeah, I got the original run. And she goes, I want to read it. I was like, yeah. And she goes, yeah. I was like, okay, hold on. And pull up my phone real quick. I looked on eBay, looked on Amazon. I was like, graphic novel. Okay, cool. It'll be here in a few days. And she's like, for real? You're not gonna pull them out? I'm like, honestly, I don't know where they're at. I know they're in the mountain boxes, but also too, I probably wouldn't let you touch my issues. you know, it's like I would sell a lot of other stuff before I would sell my comic books. I've sold some comic books before, and it hurts. It hurts deeply because it's my collection. It's part of me. It's always been part of me. And with everything that's going on lately, I was thinking of my grandfather and my grandma too. I was living with them for a minute, and the amount of there was a comic book shop in Farmington, and so I moved out there because I tried to take my life over somebody, and the best option was for me to go home. So I went and moved in with my grandma, my Che, for a bit, and I did chores. So I'm a grown man, but I still did chores. I watered the plants. I did this, and and when it was a happy hour, I told grandma, I was like, "Yo, peach slush." So I go get a peach slush, and then we eat Chinese food and this and that, and it was just one of those things where then I got a job at I think it was not Anime Theaters, Allen Theaters or something like that. That's out there for a bit, and yeah, and then I did I did construction for a bit. I became a painter. My first ever construction job, but it was a painting. I was terrible at it. It was fucking awful. like I'm not my wife. My wife can build things. She can make things. I can't. So I think the only thing I can do is change a socket, like the plugins and stuff like that. That I can do because my Che taught me how to do that. So I remember one time we had one of the fuses, like one of the plugs go pow, and it freaked her out, and it was like just black on the wall and stuff like that. And then I was like, don't worry about it. She's like, what do you mean? And I went to a Home Depot, bought a new one, and bought a new cover thing and everything like that. And I went in here, turned off the breaker, went in there and screwed it, boom, 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 put it in, and she goes, that's hot. I was like, what? She goes, how do you know how to do that? I was like, my grandpa, he's an electrician. Like one of the things he showed me, you know. And she was like, wow, is there anything else you could do that you don't tell me about? I was like, that's it. She said, well, you did that painting job for a while, right? I was like, that was terrible. But I remember my boss used to get mad at me all the time because you have to put the tape down when you're like doing the line and whatnot, just so the line is like straight instead of it going like that. I fucked up that all the time. Like, I don't even know why he kept me around. But he was a cool dude. I believe his name was Garth. Yeah, he was a big Vikings fan, and I was a big Lions fan. So Sundays he would always make sure that we had off so we can go watch the football game together and stuff like that. And there was another dude. I'm trying to remember his name. I was thinking of him the other day because he really got me into fish. Like, he was a bit. I mean, he was like, he's the truest stoner I've ever met. And he lived life like one, and he listened to fish. And like it's like in Fanboys, remember when he's like all he listens to Rush, and Rush is variety, that's the way this dude was with fish. And I there's only one album though. I'm not saying I listen to all Fish. There's one album, I can't think of it right now, but it's the only album that I really bonded with him. And man, I'm gonna listen to some Fish today. I still got packing to do and stuff like that, but yeah. And so that was a journey. And then when I lived with them, it was cool. They brought me in, and they both told me not to do that shit again. And and all these memories started popping up, and it's been eating at me. I'm still in disbelief. I'm still in shock. I'm still in sad, and I have those moments of like regret because I I don't go home as often as I want to because I'm always like with work and this and that, and I just feel like at this point it just became excuses, and it really like it started really eating at me, especially, and I started thinking of the would have, should have, could have, whatever things my scenario, like putting myself as the bad guy in all this, and I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that, and this is why I'm thankful for my homie Tal for checking on me, Doug checking on me. I just got a little picture of his little one, from his wifey, and I was just like, oh, he's rocking the Chewy jacket I got him, little Chewbacca, and then Colin, Phil, Big Daddy, everyone's been so supportive. My family, I talked to my mom as much as I could. I'm finally texting grandma, that like she hasn't been texting in a minute, but I'm finally texting her. So that's giving me some moments of like, yeah, because me and her text every day. Me and my grandma text every single like all the time. So, and I'm thankful for everybody. Thank you. I love you all. Everyone that supported me, everyone that's checked in on me, everyone that's been like, "You all right?" To my wife, oh my God, she she's incredible. And I take that for granted a lot of the times, man, of how amazing of a woman she is, how she's got this whole, like, she's got everything. She's already got bags packed. She's already got snacks. She's already got everything figured out before we hit the road. And she's been support since everything's happened. She's been my support since everything's happened, man. She's my Leia, General Leia in this house. That's who we are. No offense, Miss Puss. Princess Leia over there is getting kind of jealous, but no offense, okay? Mommy is General Leia, who takes command of this house, and I'm just a dirty, rotten scoundrel, you know, trying to cruise my way through the galaxy. So, my daughter, she's been really supportive as well. She's funny. Like she's doing this thing doing like she goes, my brother does that all the time, and my brother too. Shout out to my brothers, man. They've been really supportive and stuff like that. And when I get to see my little brother Greg, he's going to school now. He's going to NAU. He went to CCC for a bit, and then he did this transfer thing over. And then we had a scare earlier this year with my dad. Got his leg broken and stuff like that. So much like crazy shit's been going on. And when I went home the first time last week to go after everything happened, I went to go see grandma, and then we got some sage and got the Navajo magic over me and stuff like that. And I feel like I need some more of that just because some other things this week happened. And I remember texting the wife, she goes, "You fucking kidding me?" I was like, "I know, right? Fuck, like what's going on?" It's just some bad shit going on. I just need to bless this house. And I remember feeling like this at one time when just some real just a bad month this year happened earlier this year. And like I was trying to figure out a way like to get some sage. Couldn't find sage. Good sage, like actual sage to bless this house. And one of my things was trying to figure out a time to call Che and have him bless his house, and I know that's not an option now. Um, that that hurts, like I wanted to call him and him speak in Navajo and bless this house and to get all the badness out of it, but now it's not an option, and that really sucks. Like yeah. So, thank you for listening. I got to get rolling, but you can hear the song Mr. Happy. It's a track that I did a while ago, and my daughter's on it. She goes, "He's here," and the clip on the starting is from a serial killer. I think it was the Iceman killer or Ice Killer or something like that. I can't think right now. I just got too much going on in my head right now, like So, but yeah, song's called Mr. Happy. It's a track I'm very proud of. It's a track I'm very, very proud of. It's a song that I really like, and it rocks, man. Like dun, 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 like, and it's funny. His music is the key to everything. music is definitely it helps. Rebel Force Radio helps. Like the day it all happened, my go-to album besides Dubs. That's like my I want to feel happy. I want to feel happy. Then I have one album that makes me happy, also makes me sad, also distracts my brain, and it's also something that I go to anytime something like this happens, or if I get really in the dirt about everything. It's Insane Clown Posse's Hell's Pit. And when I got to work, the boss is like, go in the back, just start setting up tables or something, keep yourself distracted, keep yourself away from everybody real quick. I was like, yeah. And then I'm out there, cut the head off a mule, cut it in and put it on, and then I wore it to school. It ain't the only thing I wore. I wore some clippings, some rounds. I was screaming them lyrics out. Suicide Hotline, ain't no point to me waking up. And I'm like, I'm doing this, and like some people around like, man, those are some depressing lyrics. I'm like, no, these are therapeutic lyrics for me. This, like, anytime I need to try something, Hell's Pit has been that album to go to and just listen to front to back. And just shout out to the Insane Clown Posse for always being there musically for me. They dropped some really great stuff this year. Three-Headed Monster, Shaggy solo album, Violent J solo album. I'm waiting on the 6th. Yum Yum Bedlam. They dropped so much stuff, and I will definitely get on here more with the Sexy Ninjacast to everyone out there that doesn't listen to wrestling. Like I was talking to Steven. Shout out to Steven. He was like, yo, I miss the old days of C Plus Studios and all the random shit we did, Random Ramen and the Fast and Furious podcast, Pop Flicks and this and that. And then, he's like, I miss that. So it's really put some things in perspective of what I want to do with the Paper Saber universe, bring a lot of that back, and Big Daddy, he's back in town. So we need to make some magic. That's what needs to happen in a Paper Saber universe. We need to make that magic. You know what I'm saying? All right, y'all. We got to roll. Got to get ready. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, whichever or. I appreciate every single one of you. All the comments, all the shares, all the likes. The YouTube channel's growing. Facebook is growing. It's funny. It's like I'm being more out there than I've ever been before. So like, now I'm getting like comments on things, opinions on things, good, bad, ugly, so it's interesting because it's just like now, because we've been, I'm saying to say we as in Big Daddy, C Plus Studios, all that in the beginning, we've been rocking this for so long. And learning the craft of podcasting, learning the craft of editing, learning the craft of making these things and making our own graphics, because nobody else was going to do it for us. Nobody else couldn't wait. Like we started this shit on the phone. That's why I want to tell people real quick, just some motivation for y'all. So if you're going to want to make a podcast, make a fucking podcast, but understand it's a lot of work. Make sure you figure out your content. Make sure you figure out what you want to do. You could do it yourself. Like, don't wait on anybody. Like, if you want to create something, create it, make it. Like, don't let anyone tell you not to. This is why I still try to make music. This is why I still try to write my stories and books and movies I want to still make, because I want to make something in this life, and what's crazy with podcasting is like everything in my life is now recorded for the past 5 years. That's fucking crazy. I think more than that. Like I can go back and know where I was in the mindset. I can go back and check that all in the span of this block of time of everything we've recorded, everything we've done, all the interviews I did. I have some really great stuff. And that's another thing I want to get back on is some interviews. And there's some people that reached out to me to ask about doing interviews. So I will get back to you as soon as possible. It's just everything that's been going on lately has been, just crazy. So just keep your patience. I'm definitely working on trying to get some more interviews. I want to get some wrestlers on the New World podcast. I want to get some musical artists or artists on this podcast, the Sexy Ninjacast. And if you're new to this, check out the Sexy Ninjacast, man. I got the whole armed robbery entertainment like interviews on lock. I had so go check those out. It's funny, man. It's like I got phone numbers that I was just like, damn. So yeah, just shout out, much love, much respect, back to the grind, back to making music reviews. It's just about getting through this week, getting to the funeral, and figuring out from there. Like that's what this is coming down to, is just getting myself sorted out. And I appreciate y'all for listening. I appreciate y'all for hearing me rant. And that's what the Sexy Ninjacast comes out to be. Like, I'll talk about a few things and then it just goes off, and hopefully I entertain you in some certain way. I appreciate you. Thank you for listening to the Sexy Ninjacast, the New World Podcast, or just checking out the content in general, because we have so much content on the YouTube channel, so much. And just on the feeds itself, like you can go all the way back to the social event days. Like, just go check it out. All right, y'all. Like and subscribe. Share it with your grandma. Share it with your grandpa. Share it with the bum down at Walmart. I am KMB, the Sexy Ninja. And as always, stay sexy, ninjas. Whoop, whoop.
Run up against people. You can pull a gun. If I'm mad at you, I'm coming for it. You have to shoot me this time. If you don't kill me, that's good. So next time you see me, I will kill you.
Kill all the faceless. No one will live. Boiled with hatred. No more fucks to give. Mr. Happy is here. My misery is clear. I am death. I am fear. So knock knock. Who's there? Love the chaos, love the pain. I'll rip your face off, know my name. Mr. Happy is here. Your fear I need. Let it bleed, let it bleed. Death awaits, no debate. Your fate, my knife. No wrong or right, just death. Kill all the faceless. No one will live. Boiled with hatred. No more fucks to give. Mr. Happy is here. My misery is clear. I am death. I am fear. So knock knock. Who's there?
Mr. Happy. So happy for you. The better one where you can't hide. You can't hide.
Mr. Happy has arrived. Mr. Happy is here. Mr. Happy is dead. It's dead. For you. Kill all the faceless. No one will live. Boiled with hatred. No more fucks to give. Mr. Happy is here. My misery is clear. I am death. I am fear. So knock knock. Who's there? Welcome to the wicked shit.